interview. I mean, they're going to get this pretty quickly. The harder questions will be policy. Who in the Department of Defense knew about it? How was it transmitted? And was it in violation of the Geneva Convention?
If we use the oath of office to get these guys, if these guys are sworn in, it'll be interesting to see if they all tell the truth. General Barry McCaffrey, a tough assessment of a bad situation. Coming up, the lawyer for General Janice Karpinski, the former commander of the prisons in Iraq. That lawyer for her is going to be here with his reaction to today's court-martial. And later, former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani testifies before the 9/11 Commission. You're watching Hardball on MSNBC.
Hardball is brought to you by Cisco Systems.
Meanwhile, on the 4th floor...
When?
20 minutes ago.
An internet worm.
And a sneaky one, too. Came from the inside.
But the guys from IT said we're safe.
It was caught by the network, automatically. They say we're fine.
How does something like that get in here?
Hey, Daddy, I downloaded a new game on your computer. It's really cool.
Protecting networks and everyone around them. This is the power of the network. Now.
You're driving along. A car pulls in front of you. Another pulls alongside. When the guy up front stops short, you rear-end him, just like he wanted. It's called a swoop and squat. And fraud like this can add hundreds of dollars a year to your insurance bills. It's why Allstate has a dedicated fraud team to track down criminals. Fighting fraud helps keep your insurance affordable. That's Allstate, Stan. Are you in good hands?
Coming up, the attorney for General Janice Karpinski, the former commander of prisons in Iraq, with his reaction to today's court-martial. Hardball, back in a minute.
Looking for a better way to get around? Grab a Dr. Pepper and win one of 10 Dodge Vipers or lots of other prizes. Find a talking can in 12 or 24 packs. Or look through Spider-Man's eye to win.
As one of the highest volume Ford stores in the nation, Landmark Ford gives a tremendous amount of trade-ins. And right now, they're all on sale during our half-yearly used clearance. More than 30 SUVs from less than $9,000. More than 30 trucks from less than $5,000. Save on worry-free Ford-certified vehicles, each with 6-year, 75,000-mile factory warranties. During our half-yearly used clearance at Landmark Ford in Tigard. We're just off I-5 at the Haines Street exit.
All right, everybody, right this way.
Bring their imaginations to life. Introducing The Fan, only at Comcast.net. A revolutionary new way to watch your favorite videos online. It's easy. Just click and start them instantly. Now with Comcast high-speed internet.
Welcome back to Hardball. General Janice Karpinski is commander of the 800th Military Police Brigade, who was in charge of running prisons in Iraq. She has been formally admonished by the Army for her actions in Iraq. I'm joined right now by her attorney, retired Marine Colonel Neil Puckett. Mr. Puckett, let me ask you about your view as an attorney for General Karpinski. Who's responsible for the abuses we saw in those pictures the last couple of weeks in Abu Ghraib?
Well, I think it's becoming increasingly clear as the investigation broadens that the people responsible were the military intelligence chain of command, those giving orders to the military police, who, of course, were still under General Karpinski's chain of command. But I think it's the military intelligence interrogation tactics, and whether or not that was a matter of official policy, I think is yet to be seen. Is that why we see things like dog collars and evidence in these pictures? I don't think somebody from Western Maryland brought a dog collar with them over to Iraq. I mean, this kind of equipment, hoods, shackles, the method of stripping people, that didn't come from below, did it? It didn't come from below General Karpinski. It came from above her, right? Well, I think we've yet to see all the facts. I mean, MPs don't walk around equipped with dog collars. No, they don't, and we firmly believe they got direction from the military intelligence interrogators who wanted the military police to soften up the detainees before and after their interrogations. So who's guilty here? It's the higher-ups, you say, the military intelligence, and yet when this story first was floated to the public, I don't know how it got floated exactly, but the story broke.
You've got what looked like a bunch of crazy people from the countryside who were using, and this is the way it was being portrayed, who were using their authority to abuse it and had come up with all this hijinks. And it was basically, these pictures were supposedly souvenirs. Now it begins to more and more look like, as we've watched over the weekend, that these procedures like stripping people and shackling them, all this is coming from MI. Is that the way you see it?
That is the way I see it, Chris. And you know, nothing that you see is part of military police training. And there would have had to have been one of two things. Either that's coming from the MI people, or some incredibly sadistic and imaginative military police are doing this all on their own. And I think it's the former.
Who told your client to lay down and let the MI take over that prison?
That was General Sanchez. General Sanchez transferred command of the prison actually in November to Colonel Pappas. But even before that, Colonel Pappas and his military intelligence chain of command was always in control of, at least 2 months before that, of cell blocks 1A and 1B, where all the interrogations took place and where these photographs were taken.
Where did we get this argument that there was a military doctrine that you had to fence off MP from MI?
That actually comes from the military police doctrine, and their doctrine says that in internment operations, military police are essentially jailers, which you and I understand to be jailers. They simply are responsible for the care and feeding and handling of and security of the detainees and bring them to and from interrogations, but they're not supposed to cross over into the interrogation world.
Well, who is this character, General Jeff Miller, who's sent over from Gitmo, from Guantanamo, with the specific mission of softening up these prisoners before the intelligence guys get their hands on them? Wasn't that a direct effort by the military to use the jailers to soften up prisoners? In other words, to engage in the interrogation process itself?
Well, it absolutely was, and he did an inspection of Abu Ghraib, and he recommended that they do it more like Guantanamo Bay, and they do use military police to assist the military interrogation folks. And the Provost Marshal General of the Army objected to that, and he said that's not doctrinal. They're not trained to do that, and that's going to require some additional training. General Miller said that's okay. We'll train them.
Well, here's what General Miller said about his discussions with General Karpinski about Abu Ghraib, how it should be run. Here it is.
Did you tell General Karpinski that you are going to Jitmoize Abu Ghraib? And my question is, what did you mean by the statement?
Yeah. Senator, I did not tell General Karpinski I was going to Gitmoize Abu Ghraib. I don't believe I've ever used that term ever. When General Karpinski and I were having our dialogues, they were about humane detention, how the detention centers would be run, the requirements for the military police, and the leadership to be present to ensure that humane detention is done.
Well, that seems like dissembling to me, Mr. Puckett, by General Miller.
It is, and I believe General Miller has selective recall. He's conveniently forgotten the terms that he used there and the methods that he was recommending, and he for some reason he didn't bring that up today.
Okay, we're going to more with you, Mr. Puckett. Thank you for joining us. Stay with us. The attorney for Janet Karpinski, the general in charge of that prison. When we return, we're going to talk to him and find out more about the prison abuse scandal on our website. If you want to do that, just go to specials.msnbc.com. You're watching it. We're getting into the case here. Hardball on MSNBC.
If you're a disgusting, damaging, or destructive bug, watch carefully. Cause this is the last thing you're ever gonna see. Introducing new Ortho Bug Begone Max, the best lawn bug killer ever made. So strong, it kills bugs twice as long as the leading competitor. Not just 1 month, but 2 full months guaranteed. New Ortho Bug Begone Max. Lights out for lawn bugs.
Because we own the land, the trees, and the company, Florida's Natural is made just from our fresh oranges, not from concentrate. It's as close to the Grove as you can get.
If you crave jumbo shrimp, come to Red Lobster for sweet coconut shrimp, shrimp scampi, or crunch fried shrimp, each with biscuits and salad for just $10.99. Only at Red Lobster.
For the seafood lover in you. You don't hear this phone ringing? Hello?
Hi, Mom.
Oh, where are you? You haven't called this house in 2 days. I'm so worried.
Rose, who is he?
Vegas.
I got married. Yeah, I got married, Mom. I eloped.
What in the world would make you do something like this?
$139 a week for any compact car at budget. For irresistible prices on irresistible cars, call 1-800-BUDGET-7 or visit budget.com.
Dunkin' Donuts Real Iced Latte, the drink that brings you back.
Here you go, sweetie.
Hello, this is Christy. Hello?
Dunkin' Donuts Iced Latte, made with real espresso. It's the refreshing way to bring you back to life.
Everybody tells you how to take care of your baby, but you know better.
Children must have good table manners. Picking up your children too much will spoil them. Nap time isn't playtime. Use expensive diapers. They're the only ones that won't leak.
Oh, please. Loves aren't expensive, and they're the only diaper guaranteed to help prevent against leaks or your money back. I don't think Niagara Falls could get through.
When in doubt, overdress your baby.
Live, learn, get Loves.
Tomorrow, Meet the Press meets Hardball. A revealing interview with NBC Washington Bureau Chief Tim Russer. Hardball, tomorrow at 7 on MSNBC.
Tomorrow on Countdown. If President Bush and John Kerry were about to graduate college, how would they fare in today's job market? Keith reveals the revealing survey. See why critics are calling Countdown news with intelligent, thought-provoking sarcasm. Countdown with Keith Olbermann, tomorrow at 8 on MSNBC.
We're back with Neil Puckett. He's the attorney for General Janice Karpinski, who was in command of the prisons in Iraq. Bring us up to date, if you can, legally right now, Mr. Puckett. As an attorney for General Karpinski, how do you read the sort of plea bargain that led to that one-year sentencing today for Jeremy Sivitz?
Well, not as her attorney, but as a military criminal defense attorney, it appears as though in exchange for his cooperation, he got the benefit of a misdemeanor prosecution, although the sentence was the maximum that could be handed out at that court-martial. And
Is that to scare the other accused?
No, I don't think it's to scare them, but it's to show them that now he's fully free to give testimony in their courts-martial after being given a grant of immunity, and he has nothing else to be concerned about.
What about the possibility, the fact that he was copying the plea, but that was a benefit to the military because then there were no officers called to testify one way or the other where they gave the orders to abuse the prisoners this way?
Well, I think that's what they hope is going to happen in all the rest of them. In other
Everybody's going to
if
cop.
Sufficient, well, that's what they're hoping, and now that they have a solid witness against them, that's becoming increasingly likely that the others could cop to plea bargains as well.
Mr. Puckett, I'm not an attorney, but I figured this out 2 or 3 days ago. That's what it looks like. They're going to go right up the chain. They're going to get this one guy to cop a plea, not call any witnesses. Then you get somebody else to jump because he's afraid of the other guys. And so it ends up they're all going to jump, and nobody's going to call any witnesses, and the American people will never find out where these orders came from.
Well, that's the way the Army would like it to go, but knowing some of the attorneys as I do, I don't think it will go that way. I think
they're good enough to fight this.
Yeah, they're going to fight it, and they are going to try to call general officers to testify.
Do you think there's any way the Army will refuse to present those middle-level and upper-level officers who may have told these prison guards, the MPs, General Karpinski, your client on down, that we want these prisoners softened up, we want them stripped, shackled, whatever it takes to loosen them up?
The Army may initially try to say that would be irrelevant or there's no evidence of that, but a military judge would ultimately rule on a motion to produce those witnesses, and we hope that all relevant witnesses would be called to testify.
Do you think your client will be charged with anything, General Karpinski, who's head of that whole prison system?
Absolutely not. There's absolutely no evidence that she did anything wrong or failed to act when she found out that there was something wrong. She didn't find out until January, and then she immediately went down to Abu Ghraib and to find out what went on. And at that point, lower-level commanders had been suspended and were told not to talk because there was an ongoing investigation.
Do you think anything would have been done in this case if we hadn't seen the pictures?
Oh, yes. I think there would have been. If there had been allegations, I think those would have been investigated by the Army. It just wouldn't have been as sensationalized without the pictures.
You think we would have gotten the truth if it weren't for the pictures?
Yes, I do. Investigations are usually pretty fair, and I think we would have eventually gotten at the truth anyway without the pictures.
You're an optimistic man. Thanks for coming on the show, Neil Puckett. It's great to have you on.
Thank you,
You know what you're talking about. Up next, Specialist Charles Grainer is one of the soldiers facing court-martial in the prison abuse case. We'll get his side of the story from his lawyer when we return. Guy Womack. And later, 9/11 Commissioner James Thompson on today's hearings with former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani. You're watching Hardball on MSNBC.
Juniper,
It's the difference between the limited internet of the 90s and the infrastructure that our customers bet their business on every day. It's the difference between connectivity and confidence. The confidence to commit to your customers that you'll be there for them and know that the network will be there for you. It's taking command of the network, delivering the reliability, the security, the intelligence, the capabilities that make the difference. That's Juniper, that's leadership, that's how you Juniper your net.
Someone in your company is stealing from you daily, and it's not human. Don't let your printer steal company profits.
Hi, I'm George Hamilton, and I like things toasted. They oven toasted the flavor of Ritz into a unique kind of chip. Ritz chips, they're toasted. And believe me, I know toasted.
Somewhere between Wyoming and Nebraska, there was nothing. Somewhere between 65 and 70, a law was broken. Somewhere between stop it and you're grounded, a mom pulled over. And somewhere between where you are and where you're going, there's a Super 8. See you along the way.
Has your overweight dog lost a step or two? With new Pedigree Weight Loss, all other diets are history. With the most protein of any dry dog food, it's designed to help dogs safely lose 10% of their body weight and get them back up to speed. New Pedigree Weight Loss and weight maintenance to help keep the weight off. 2 simple steps to a healthy dog.
During cancer treatment, Elizabeth could only watch from the sidelines. Today, her cancer is in remission, and she's ready to play.
Elizabeth is one of millions of children with hope because of Children's Miracle Network. We are the alliance of premier children's hospitals dedicated to serving all children. Your support can make miracles happen.
Mattress World's having an any-size mattress sale for just $89 each piece.
We bought the competition's $99 each piece set so you could see the difference.
So you make the choice. Their $99 mattress or Mattress World's better quality mattress for $89.
Nobody beats our price, quality, service, or selection. If we can't beat any price on any comparable mattress, then the mattress is free.
It's not too late to sleep like a baby. Mattress World.
Mattress World, 185th and Cornell, next to Burger King.
This half hour on Hardball, Jeremy Sivitz is found guilty in the first court-martial in the prison abuse scandal. Did he say enough to convict the other accused soldiers? The attorney for Charles Granner will be here, and later Tim Russert. But first, the latest headlines right now.
Hello, I'm Christy Musumeci. Half past the hour. Here are the headlines. The Army says about 40 people were killed when U.S. aircraft attacked a suspected safe house for foreign fighters in western Iraq. And military officials strongly deny the claim that the victims were at a wedding party. Officials say a large amount of money, passports, and satellite communications equipment were found at the site after the attack. Israeli tanks and helicopters fired on protesters in the Rafah refugee camp in Gaza, meanwhile, reportedly killing 10 Palestinians, most of them children. Israel says it meant to fire warning shots over the protesters and expressed sorrow at the loss of civilian lives. With the U.S. abstaining, the UN Security Council has voted to condemn the killings. President Bush rejected calls from Democrats to ease high gasoline prices by tapping the nation's oil reserves. The president says such action would leave America vulnerable to terrorism in a time of war. Rather, he urged Congress to pass his energy plan. Back to Hardball with Chris Matthews.
Welcome back to this special edition of Hardball. Court-martial in Baghdad. Duty or disgrace? Specialist Charles Granner was in court today in Baghdad. He entered no plea, and a new hearing was set for him on June 21st. Guy Womack is Specialist Granner's attorney. Mr. Womack, thanks once again for joining us. You're up in New York. Let me ask you about this trial. We were talking the other night when you were on here about the possibility of a pattern of prosecution here whereby they're going to get a plea copped out of this guy, Jeremy Sivitz, give him a light sentence in exchange for his testimony, thereby scaring the other accused into copping pleas themselves, thereby avoiding having to present any witnesses from the higher-ups. How do you see the pattern, as you see it as of now, of the prosecution here?
Well, I think they're following that pattern as far as the ones that they believe to be the least culpable. Certainly for Davis, Frederick, and my client, Specialist Grainer, I don't think there will be any deals. We have no intentions of pleading, and we will have a trial.
What kind of witnesses would you like to get your hands on? I read something in the notes today that there's a problem about getting some of the witnesses, the prisoners particularly.
Well, there may be a problem for the prisoners themselves. That's a problem the government will have. I doubt that we'd be calling any prisoners, but we might, and if so, hopefully we can get them to come in. We can invite them to come in, and the government will pay them as witnesses. For the military witnesses, even if they're back in the United States, we can compel them to be given orders to Iraq. The problems would be civilian witnesses who are back in the United States. You cannot subpoena an American citizen to leave the continental U.S.
So that would leave you stuck. What would happen to the case then?
Well, what we do then is we would offer to do a deposition in the United States. We could subpoena them for that, and we can get the testimony by an alternative form, probably a videotape.
Let me ask you about this. There was a great scene in A Few Good Men, that film with Tom Cruise, where Jack Nicholson's character said you can't take the truth. Do you think the American people can take the truth in this case?
Of course they can, and they're going to hear the truth, and that's what our defense is. And
well, who has it right now? Is it a middle-level military man? Is it a general? Who knows when he looks at those pictures of your client and others involved in that performance there with those pictures, and somewhat disgraceful-looking pictures? In fact, they are disgraceful. Who knows whether they reflect the general command, they reflect the general policy of how to treat prisoners, even a bit of a distortion of one, and those who think and know that those pictures represent total, utter 180 misbehavior? Who knows that distinction?
At a minimum, Colonel Pappas will know that. He will recognize the work of the intelligence community. Whether he was aware of it when it was going on, he will recognize it. Lieutenant Colonel Jordan and other commissioned officers within that unit will recognize it, and somewhere along the line there's at least one commissioned officer who knows exactly what was being done, and there are a number of senior enlisted and middle level NCO enlisted intelligence officers who are ordering it to be done, and they will recognize their own handiwork.
Well, one of the questions you might put to them, I'm not the attorney, you are, is to ask these commissioned officers, if somebody were to come in Monday morning and say, guess what we did to the prisoners this weekend, and basically describe verbally what we see in those pictures, and that commissioned officer said, good work, we got to keep the pressure on these people.
And that
or that person would say, you guys are all in deep trouble because that's the opposite of what you want doing with these prisoners.
Yes, and that was being done. There are a number of officers within the intel community and the MP chain of command at Abu Ghraib who heard those reports on a daily basis.
Let me ask you about the progress of the trial. Give us an outlook right now. Arraignment, when's the trial?
Okay, June 21st, we will litigate all motions that we can file before then. Colonel Pohl, the circuit military judge for Europe, who's handling this case, is going to be monitoring discovery. I think that will take at least until July, possibly early August. I'll be ready to go to trial immediately after we get discovery.
Let me ask you about these penalties that are being doled out. The guy who copped the plea, Jeremy Sivitz, today, who was convicted today in a plea bargain, only got a year. What did that message send to you that they gave him a year? I shouldn't say only. That's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time.
They gave a year to a guy that had played ball with him. Is that a way of saying to the other accused, you think he got it bad? Where do you guys' turn come?
It would be that. It would also be a way of telling other accused who may want to plead guilty that the government is going to hammer them if they can. They promised Sivitz some leniency when he pled guilty and threw himself on their sword. Then the prosecutor got up and argued that he get the maximum that the court-martial could give, and the judge awarded that sentence.
But why?
Because I think that they want to possibly scare other people. I think they want a statistic to say we got a year in prison for someone. It's no joke that anyone can convict the guilty. It takes a great prosecutor to convict the innocent. Sivitz, from everything I can tell, was not guilty of a crime.
Well, let me ask you about your client. You said you've never lost a case where you had an innocent client. Charles Grainer's been accused, apparently, of punching a detainee in the head, maybe knocked him out. That's what Sivitz has said. What do you make of that? I don't even know if that's what happens in prisons and in these kinds of prisons anyway, but what do you make of that claim? Did he do it? Did Charles Grainer actually punch a guy in the face?
I don't think he did that, and if the only witness they have is Sivitz, we're looking pretty good, because we know Civitz has lied in his written sworn statements to CID where he said that there was no military intelligence involvement. We have photographic proof that's a lie. He said that his chain of command was completely unaware of this. We know that's a lie. There's ample evidence of that. So Civitz is an insignificant witness.
Why did Civitz exonerate the higher-ups if we know, based upon the reports yesterday, that in fact that Colonel Pappas, the head of the MI overseeing that prison, has said that he told the military police people, the reservists like Charles Grainer, your client, to strip these guys, shackle them? I mean, they're acting like, he's acting like, Civitz is acting like there's absolutely no connection between the behavior of him and his comrades and the higher-ups' desire for what they wanted them to do in the first place.
Yes, and what Civitz was doing is trying to mollify his chain of command. He was hoping that he could blame other people, and if he said nice things about his chain of command and the military intelligence command that ran Abu Ghraib, that they would go easy on him, they would give him a break, and they gave him a year in prison.
Let me ask you, is your client, Charles Grainer, a good guy?
He is a very good guy.
Okay, that's a strong statement. Thank you very much, Guy Womack, attorney for Charles Grainer, one of the accused in this case. Coming up, former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani testifies before the 9/11 Commission that the city of New York did everything possible in the days before the attacks. We'll talk with Commissioner James Thompson of the 9/11 Commission. And later, Tim Russert's going to be here. You're watching Hardball on MSNBC.
MSNBC's Business Headlines is brought to you by Union Pacific.
In 1869, we connected a nation, east to west, west to east. Today, we connect the nation past to present, present to future. So, you might say that the road to the future isn't a road at all.
Yo, yes, you're excited. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking Beneful. You've never seen anything like it before. It has wholesome grains, real beef, even carrots and peas. So there's carbohydrates for energy and protein for those serious muscles. And you even get some vegetables.
So happy.
Love it so much you only think you're getting spoiled. Yes, you do. But it's good for you, too.
Healthful, flavorful, Beneful. Beneful brand by Purina.
Navigation, keyless ignition, and laser-assisted cruise control. Are we getting ahead of ourselves? Or is everyone else standing still? The FX from Infinity.
Coming up, Rudy Giuliani tells the 9/11 Commission the city of New York did everything possible in the days before the attacks. Commissioner James Thompson will be here, and later Tim Russert. Hardball, back in a minute.
It's ant season. Terminix them with our exclusive problem-solved guarantee. 1-800-TERMINUS.
What if business no longer meant business travel? What if you could meet with people down the hall and across the country without leaving your desk? Be in different places, but still on the same page. Microsoft Office Live Meeting, a new service that lets you collaborate with groups of all sizes, all with just a phone, PC, and an internet connection. It's like being at the same table, even if you're worlds apart.
Small Business Month, so hurry into Office Depot and play the work hard, play hard game. Just scratch and match and you could win a trip to Las Vegas, an HP Media Center PC, a digital camera, or thousands of other prizes. And every card has a special bonus offer. So stop by Office Depot before May 22nd.
Okay, just read the chart.
There it is again!
Want to refinance your mortgage and cash out equity? Get a $395 flat fee home loan from Ditech.com.
Lost another one to Ditech.
Call 1-800-DITECH-1.
Now, wherever your allergies strike, there's a non-drowsy medicine that lets you do something wonderful. Breathe again. Alivert Allergy and Sinus. It relieves sinus pressure, stops runny nose, and clears your nasal congestion so you can breathe again. Inside, outside, wherever you are. Get prescription-strength non-drowsy allergy and sinus relief even Claritin can't beat. Alivert Allergy and Sinus. The right relief, wherever you are. Alivert.
Well, I guess it's 5 o'clock. Do you know where your shadow is? Well, if you shave with Schick Quattro, it's not here. See, Schick Quattro has 4 blades and 2 conditioning strips, so your 5 o'clock shadow shows up late. Schick Quattro, the power of 4.
Court-martial in Baghdad, duty or disgrace? How did one of America's bravest end up in one of our military's most disgraceful scandals? Natalie Morales joins Keith with a special report from this soldier's hometown with heartland reaction to the Iraqi abuse scandal on Countdown with Keith Olbermann, next on MSNBC.
Welcome back to Hardball. We got Tim Russer coming up later, but first, former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani testified before the 9/11 Commission today and said that the city's security and emergency plans would not have changed even if he had been informed. Even if he'd been informed about President Bush's August 6, 2001 intelligence briefing.
If that information had been given to us or more warnings had been given in the summer of 2001, I can't honestly tell you we would have done anything differently. I mean, I don't... We were doing, at the time, all that we could think of that was consistent with a city being able to move and to protect the city.
Former Illinois Governor James Thompson is a 9/11 commissioner. Governor, thanks for joining us tonight. What's your reaction to that sort of blanket statement that even if the president's memo had fallen into the hands of the mayor of New York, it wouldn't have helped?
I think he's right. If you go back and read the August 6 PDB, there is nothing in there that would have led a reasonable person to suspect that on September 11th, these airliners would have been hijacked and aimed at the World Trade Towers and at the Pentagon. Most of the information in that PDB was from 1997 and 1998. There was no reference to the use of planes as missiles. And when you take into account, Chris, the fact that there are more than 30,000 flights a day in the United States, and not knowing any time or any airport or any planes that would be involved, it would be impossible to tell from the August 6 PDB that September 11th was going to happen.
Well, what about putting the 3 dots together, the fact that bin Laden's al-Qaeda says it wants to strike again, it wants to strike inside the United States, the fact that we had the 93 attempt on the World Trade Tower 8 years before, the fact that there were people, suspicious Arab people apparently, they're described as such, wandering around the south part of New York, of Manhattan, taking pictures in that general vicinity. Could you have connected those 3 dots?
I don't think so. I think the connection between those 3 dots would have been an awfully long and awfully tenuous connection. I don't think that's enough. Look, if everybody had told everybody else in the United States, if everybody in the FBI had told everybody in the CIA, every little scrap they know, maybe some slight chance you could have tumbled to the plot. But that's so tenuous and so problematic that I don't think you can come to that conclusion, at least on the evidence I've heard so far.
My favorite question, Governor, is to ask if it could happen again. Based upon the testimony today, do you have a sense there would have been if the same thing happened, 2 airplanes hit the 2 towers, similar buildings, the Empire State Building, the Chrysler Building, whatever, would New York be better prepared today than it was then?
New York is better prepared today. It could happen again. My guess is that al-Qaeda is smart and entrepreneurial, as President Clinton warned us, and that they won't do the same thing twice. They may strike at another city in the United States. They may strike at 4 or 5 cities across the United States in a different form at the same time. But there's no doubt that technologically and in terms of contingency planning and in terms of command and control functions, New York is a much safer place today after the actions of Mayor Giuliani and Mayor Bloomberg than it was on September 11th, 2001.
If I'm in a skyscraper tomorrow in New York City and a plane hits below me, will I be able to call 911 and the operator will say, get out of the building or try like hell because you're finished if you don't?
Well, first of all, I think as the witnesses at our 2-day hearing demonstrated, most people today, if they understand that the building has been attacked, are going to get out no matter what anybody says about contingency plans or evacuation plans.
But Governor, you've campaigned for office. You know, every time you stop at a Holiday Inn, they say, stay in the building, stay in the room, put a wet blood towel under your door, and stay in the room.
Yeah, but
I mean, is that still in effect, that stuff?
I don't think that's good advice anymore, frankly. Unless they can absolutely guarantee you, unless it's a particular kind of fire that it's a small fire confined to one portion of a building, and the firemen can put it out. There was no way to put out the fire on September 11th, and so if they should have done anything, they should have evacuated both towers immediately.
Horrible story. Anyway, Mayor Giuliani said today that he knew that the first plane crash was not an accident because the weather was good that day. Let's listen up.
As I walked out into the street, Denny and I looked up in the sky. And what we saw was a beautiful, clear day, about as clear as we had had in a long time, and came to the immediate conclusion that it could not have been an accident.
I guess the skies weren't clear down in Texas that day because when the president heard about it, he said that's one bad pilot. Is that, it was in Florida that, do you think that Giuliani just is a really good mayor? Let me just ask you a blunt question. Does he really have the right instincts to be a leader, and that's what helped New York that day and the weeks that came?
Yeah, I think he does have the right instinct. He's a trained lawyer. He was a trained law enforcement person from the U.S. Attorney's Office. He's got guts. He's smart. He's vocal. That's what it takes these days to be a mayor in a large urban area. Look, a lot of people in the country, when the first plane hit, people who weren't in New York thought it was an accident. I thought so when I heard that news. When I walked out to my car to go to work, the news of the second plane hit. But there was nothing reasonable or unreasonable about people assuming that it was an accident.
There we disagree. I don't imagine an airplane accidentally crossing the Hudson River. But anyway, thank you. Thank you once again, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Chris.
A member of the 9/11 Commission. Up next, NBC's Tim Russer will be here to talk about his new book. What a book it is. It's fabulous. It's about America. It's about a father, his son, growing up in this country. Big Russ and me. Watch a Hardball on MSNBC.
Follow all the action in the battle for the White House. Sign up for our free daily email. Just log on to our website, hardball.msnbc.com.
At ExxonMobil, we've been delivering the fuels of the future for 100 years. So whatever ends up powering the cars of the future, chances are we're working on it today.
They're liars and thieves with the ultimate power. They answer to no one, and they will betray, deceive, and kill anyone who gets in their way. Read Liars and Thieves, new from the master of the action-adventure novel, Stephen Koontz.
Life's full of surprises. That's why no one is more focused on getting your car back to normal than your farmer's agent. Farmers Auto Insurance. Get you back where you belong.
Hey, sir, here's your Avis Care package with local information, traffic rules, and a map.
What would it be like if Avis didn't try harder?
Did Brad ask about me? Well,
do you have a map?
I gave you a map. Uh-huh.
No, you didn't. I never.
Yes, I did.
I never got it.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Can I have another map?
No.
Okay.
If we didn't try harder, we wouldn't be Avis.
Thanks.
Now earn double miles or get double dollar savings with twice the love at Avis. Learn more at avis.com.
Have you got your Goodyears? Stop in now while all Goodyear tires are on sale. Buy 4 selected Goodyear tires and get up to a $60 rebate. Keep your car in step. Get your Goodyears today.
It's a beautiful morning.
I was never one to sleep in, which is good because being a teacher, you never really get to. After all these years, I have to say I still look forward to going to school. And I'm pretty sure the kids do too.
Ask your doctor today about Vioxx and find out what Vioxx can do for you.
My doctor prescribed Vioxx and I stayed with it.
Vioxx.
Marshall in Baghdad, duty or disgrace? How did one of America's bravest end up in one of our military's most disgraceful scandals? Natalie Morales joins Keith with a special report from this soldier's hometown, with heartland reaction to the Iraqi abuse scandal. On Countdown with Keith Olbermann, next on MSNBC.
MSNBC on XM Satellite Radio, 24 hours a day.
At Landmark Ford, we take in some great trade-ins, and right now they're all on sale during our half-yearly used clearance. You'll save up to $6,000 below actual Kelley Blue Book. We have an incredible selection, including worry-free Ford-certified vehicles, each with 6 years, 75,000-mile factory warranty. If you're looking to save on a great pre-owned vehicle, this is your opportunity during our half-yearly used clearance, only at Landmark Ford in Tigard. We're just off I-5 at the Haines Street exit.
Thinking about buying a dish? Well, this is what can happen when it rains. This is what can happen when it snows. This is what can happen when the wind blows too hard. Sometimes this is what can happen for what seems like no reason at all. Get the picture? Satellite TV isn't all it's dished up to be.
Cold weather. Tim Russert, NBC Washington Bureau Chief and the moderator of Meet the Press, may live in Washington, D.C., but his heart still belongs to his hometown of Buffalo, New York, where his father brought him up right. Tim's new book, Big Russ and Me, is a fabulous story of father and son, and let's face it, America. Tim, congratulations.
Great to be here.
You know what you have? You have that Thomas Wolfe ability to locate the unforgettable detail, the little detail that tells everything about growing up, and I find it very familiar. But let's talk about your dad, Big Russ. You're Little Russ, he's Big Russ. World War II generation, it is a story. We're coming up on D-Day. It's a great story. Your dad was involved in an air crash that you didn't even know about in World War II. Can you tell us about it? Because there's something there, I think.
Sure. He left school in 10th grade, went off in the Army Air Force, and he came home. He was in the hospital 6 months. Came home and worked 30 years, garbage man, truck driver. We'd go swimming in the lake, and I'd see the scars on his back. And I'd say, Dad, where'd those scars come from? And he'd go back under the water. Never say anything. I said, Mom, how come Dad has all those scars on his back? Oh, he was in an accident in the war. That was it. Finally in high school, Chris, I said, Dad, you got to talk to me about this. You know, I'm really interested. What happened in World War II? He brought me down to the basement, pulled out a manila envelope, and then a yellowed piece of paper, cut out from a British paper, October 27th, 1944, about an air crash. 5 guys dead, 14 injured. And this plane...
So over in England.
Yeah, and the plane engulfed in flames. And he was ejected from the plane. He was on fire. And this kid named Billy Sajaki, his best friend in the war, saw him stumbling back to the burning aircraft. And Billy and 2 British railroad guys jumped on him and rolled him out and suffocated the flames. And then he was in the hospital for 6 months. It's unbelievable.
And he never mentioned it.
Never mentioned it. Didn't want to talk about it. And I said, man, airplane crash, 6 months in the hospital, that had to be tough. He said it was a lot tougher for the guys who died.
Yeah.
Put his head down and walked away.
That's the attitude. I didn't have it as bad as the other guys. Do you think a lot of this, well, let me tell you, there's a great line in here in your book. It said, I find it hard to believe the crash didn't affect him or change him in some way. Now, there's a pregnant statement.
Yeah, very much.
What do you think it did? Did it make him quieter?
I did. I do. You know, he's the most optimistic man I met. His glass is 2/3 full. But I was told by Billy that he was really fun-loving, cheerful. And after the crash, it did bring a certain sense of, man, I really tempted fate here.
Do you think a lot of that was, because I know some of that myself, the guys who grew up during World War II were all teenagers in the Depression, and that's something we always forget. The bottom end of their life, the early end, was tougher in many ways. There wasn't food, and sometimes the family had to scrimp. There was certainly a bad attitude around the house. This is rough. And then they go into the war, yanked out of their life. Do you think that sort of closed them down?
A little bit. You know, and I think it's important we remember how young these guys were. I have a son who's 18 and a half years old. That's how old my dad was when he went off to World War II and involved in a plane crash. It's just mind-numbing. But I do. I think when you're born in the early 20s, you survive the Depression, you go fight World War II, you learn very early on that this is a tough, difficult life, and there's no need or use in complaining about it.
You know, one difference you talk about in the book, and I think it takes a crack at our generation, it's the stoicism and the toughness and the nose to the grindstone, which my dad personifies. I got to tell you, I've seen a little thing over his desk that says nose to the grindstone. So he's all about that work, duty, taking care of the family. The difference is, and I'll take a shot here, our generation was more critical, more complaining, and that's bad. But we're also a protester generation. People willing to speak out and say, no, this is wrong. Is that something that was missing from that generation?
Yeah,
the willingness to say, no way.
Sure. And the fact is that women and minorities were treated much differently than all that. We look back with rose-colored glasses, but the fact is, our fathers in that generation, with the Depression, with World War II, and then building the middle class, didn't have much time for much else.
They had enough for 3 squares a day, paying for the family, right. But the idea of here's one thought I thought was great. You said the older you get, the smarter your father seems to get. Boy, is that true.
I used to roll my eyes when my dad would say something about, you got to be careful and watch that car and learn different routes and, if you don't want to work, then don't take the job and all these little things.
Baby it. Ever hear that one about the car? Baby it.
Be careful. Be nice to her.
Yeah, be nice to the car.
But then you suddenly have your own son and you realize, my God, he's right. He's right every step of the way. Yeah. And then you're trying to take the values and the lessons that you learned from your dad and instill them in your own son in 2004, and you realize they are different. Times are different. They have a life of privilege, a life of access that we never dreamt of. And my biggest challenge as a father is, how do I teach my son he's always loved, but never entitled? Because the sense of entitlement is so apparent in so many young kids today.
I know. You said we should have conversations with our kids today that we never had with our parents.
I can talk to my son about almost anything, and I'm amazed that he's willing to talk to me about almost anything. To this day, I cannot talk to my father about a whole variety of things.
How about 90%? What is that? I never sang for my father. What is that about?
I think because they were always working, and they were distant. My father was not affectionate to us, and now I watch my dad with my son. It's amazing. He smothers him. Yeah. And it's as if he's finally 80 years old, he's retired from his jobs, and now it's okay to let go.
Do you ever feel like saying, what about me?
No, Jackie Gleason, what about me, big guy?
We'll be back tomorrow with Tim Russ. We're going to do the whole show practically with Tim Russ tomorrow, because some great stories, and I'll get some politics out of them while we're at it, some reporting. The book is called Big Russ and Me. It's booming right now out there for a good reason. I read every word of it right through. A hell of a book, and I don't do that very often. We'll be right back with more with Tim Russ tomorrow night at 7 Eastern on Hardball. Right now it's time for the countdown with Keith.
Which of these stories will you be talking about tomorrow? The 9/11 hearings with unexpected witnesses.
Like someone's